December 21st, 2017. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 143 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
This last week, Total Rewards came out with their 2018 benefits announcement.
Yeah.
You know, what you can get in 2018 with these different tier levels that they have.
Turns out nothing.
It was a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that a little bit. First of all, Diamond, when you would make Diamond, there were also two additional aspiration levels.
Right.
Diamond Aspiration 1 and Diamond Aspiration 2.
Basically, you didn't quite get to 7 stars, but as you got higher in the Diamond, you'd
get more things. You know, trips and money and that kind of thing.
Benefits.
Right. Those are gone. So it's just Diamond. So there's quite a gap between Diamond, which is 15,000 tier credits, and 7 stars, which is 150,000.
Right.
So that's a long way to go.
Well, I have no problem with the gap because, you know, then it makes getting to 7 stars something.
Sure.
Right, special. Right. But they should have, Diamond should be broken up into
It should be, because say you've got 120,000 tier credits. Well, you've been doing some serious playing.
Right.
And you're getting basically the same benefits as the person who's only has 15,000, right?
Right, which basically is not a lot of play.
Right.
It's not that hard to get to Diamond.
Yeah. And also, Diamond Lounge will be free for 7 stars, which it always has been. It will be free for Diamond members who have scored 25,000 tier credits or more.
Right, so they can't just barely be a Diamond.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, at least something to aspire to. But if you are Diamond and you have between 15,000 and 24,999 tier credits, then you'll have to pay $10 per person.
Right, that's what I heard. $10 a person to get in.
Yeah.
So, like at the Diamond Lounge at Harrah's Southern Cal,
yeah.
I mean, if you paid $10 for that, you're a bigger idiot than me. And that's hard to do.
The drinks aren't free here.
No.
So that's the real issue. Now, you're in Vegas, you could pay $10 to just go in and drink like crazy. Well, it might be worth it to you.
You have 2 or 3 drinks, you've made your $10, right? But you can also get free drinks by sitting at the bar and putting, $10 in a slot machine, which you might hit something. You get all the free drinks you want.
Yeah, no.
So why would you go to the Diamond Lounge even for that? It's stupid. It's almost like they're going to make a little tiny bit more money.
Well, a lot of the podcasts, specifically the guys over at Due for a Win and some other podcasts too, have talked about the watering down of these tier statuses. They're not quite as great as they used to be. You don't get as much. So, more people are able to become Diamond. So now, they're not offering as much. So that might be some of it.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting that coincides with the economy being better? When the economy was down and people weren't going to Vegas and weren't gambling locally as much because they didn't have the money, then they were offering you all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
All kinds of benefits. Now the economy's better and people are gambling because, they like to gamble and they've got a little extra money. So all of a sudden, no benefits.
Yeah. One change that we really don't like. Now, you're able to exchange your reward credits for free play.
Correct.
That you've always been able to do that, and you'll still be able to do that. However, there's been a change. If you were just gold and platinum, which are the first 2 levels, the ratio was 2-to-1. In other words, you had to spend $2 in your reward credits to get $1 in free play.
In free play, correct.
And if you were diamond, the ratio was 1.75 to 1. And if you were 7 stars, the ratio was 1.25 to 1.
Right. So I would turn in $625 of reward points to get $500 of free play.
Right, which is the max that you can do on any day, $500, right?
A day,
yes.
right. So, that's not a bad deal.
Not
and I'll
too
take
bad.
that. Now, you turn that free play into real money, you're not getting $500.
Well, and one of our listeners even said, well, why would you even want to do that? Why not just spend your reward credits on food and what have you, because it's a 1-to-1? Well, with you and me, we're up at Harrah's so often, and they give us free food anyway. We couldn't spend that much money on food even if we wanted to.
We almost have to spend some of it in free play because we can't use it all. And everything is so highly marked up in the gift shop.
That's
Trust
true
me,
too.
it's not 1-to-1.
Yeah, right.
Because my wife has bought quite a bit of stuff.
Well,
in
even
gift
on
shop.
their online, the Total Rewards online store too, it's marked up quite a bit.
I mean, she buys a purse that she pays $350 there, and she can go to Macy's and get the exact same purse for $100.
Yeah.
But they're just jacking it up. So either way, you're using more.
Right. Well, starting January 1st, 2018, the ratio is 2-to-1 for everyone.
Yeah,
which everyone.
Which really
that's a surprise.
sucks. So you get to be a 7-star.
Mm-hmm.
I just made it. You just made it. You became a 7. So for all of next year, you're 7-star. And what advantages is it? None. You might as well be gold.
I know, it's so bad timing. It's terrible timing on my part. Well, I am going to cash in some reward credits here before the end of the year, so I can still get the 1.25 to 1.
Yeah, get as much as you can.
Yeah. Anyway, I will post a link to the official Total Rewards benefits in our show notes. Oh, as well as a link to Eric Rosenthal's article at Travel Zork highlighting some of the changes. He wrote a nice little article, kind of spotlighting some of these changes. So
now my question to you, Mark, is at what point is this going to stop us from going to Harrah's?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Here, we're griping. And, we're whining. We still get more from them than anybody else.
Right.
We still get a lot.
Still like the people there.
It's not as much as it used to be. So, I understand if people are thinking, oh, poor Mark and Mike. We're not getting as much.
No, seriously. I was thinking about this driving to work this morning. The thing about it is we live a lot closer to a lot of other casinos. Yeah. We don't get as much. I admit that, but we can get there in 10 minutes and get home in 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's true.
20-minute round trip as opposed to 2-hour round trip. It's a significant amount of time. And that extra hour and 40 minutes is time spent gambling, right? Or time spent sleeping, which are my, 2 of my 3 favorite things.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Let's talk offline, but maybe we go to Hollywood more often, right? That's certainly close. Boy, it's close to me. Boy, I can get there in like 20 minutes.
Right.
And, they have full 5 times odds, and we've had good experiences there with the crew.
Yeah, the crews are fine and everything. Our luck hasn't been great there, but we haven't really played that much there.
Not that much.
They do have a lot of offers.
They have been. I've been getting a lot more just free play offers.
Yeah, free play
and
offers.
It's nice because it's table game chips that stay out there, win or lose.
Right.
Well, excuse me, not lose.
Right. But they stay out there till they lose.
They stay out there till they lose. That's what I meant.
And
yes.
The great thing about that is, the last time I had like $75 or something, and I ended up cashing out for like $150 because. And it was all on one, $10 bet that won like 6 in a row. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, well, bad news. Hey, but here's some good news. We're on Spotify now.
Right.
Yeah, we're finally on Spotify. That was a tough nut to crack. We've been approved.
Wow, in the same week, Spotify and you're a 7-star.
It's amazing.
Our lives have turned around.
Well, we were out there and some of the younger dealers, they were saying, oh, are you on Spotify? It was like the only platform we weren't on.
Yeah, and you just like flipping them off.
That's right. I'm out of here. And I'm telling it, well, here's what you can do otherwise. Anyway, Spotify. So check us out on Spotify. We're there now.
Good, very good. We're going places.
That's right. This last Tuesday, if you were on Twitter sometime around noon Pacific time, you might have gotten some posts from us that seemed a little unusual. You might have gotten a picture of a fetching young lady named Deborah Kennett.
Yeah.
She posted a few. Yeah, we got hacked. And whether it was Deborah herself or somebody else or whatever.
You know what's funny about that is if they even listen to the podcast, they know that they have to be nude, number one.
That's true.
Right?
There was no nudity.
There was no nudity. I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, why would I put a non-nude girl on our Twitter thing?
But thanks to a bunch of listeners who let me know real quick, I was able to take control back. Luckily, they didn't change our password or anything, so I finally got it
Why do
back.
people do that?
Well, it's to make money. There was a link like, watch my sexy video, click here. That was now in the
So somebody trying to make money?
I guess so. But anyway, so hope everybody enjoyed that. We're going to try to get Deborah to come on the show.
Yeah, we should do that. We should seriously try and get her on. And why would I want to watch her sexy video when I could go to Harrah's and play craps?
Exactly. You're
I mean, I don't know if she listens to the show or
you're
not.
You're telling it like it is, Mike. They just.
I mean, that's the God's honest
truth. She just doesn't understand us at all. All right. Well, our buddy Jim from New York pointed us to an article in our local paper. It's actually our paper here, the San Diego Union Tribune.
Which Jim is that, by the way?
Oh, it's the it's not Caucasian Jim. All right.
All right, good. Okay, it's not Caucasian Jim.
Anyway,
it's our good friend. Jim.
Our good friend Jim.
The first Jim. We should call him the first
Jim from New York. Pai-Gow Tile Jim.
Pai-Gow Tile Jim. I like that. Pai-Gow Tile Jim.
Anyway, he pointed us to this article. So this woman, I'm going to get the name wrong here, but Marita Manapoon. She won an Aston Martin automobile in a drawing at a local casino here, Viejas Casino, in May 2016. And after she had won it, she took pictures with the car. You know, they made this big deal out of it.
Promotional stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Always do that.
Yeah, sure, right.
They're sponging off of you.
Yeah. Well, after that, she was encouraged to take a cash compensation that was smaller, significantly smaller than the value of the car.
Significantly, keyword is significantly.
Supposedly because it would give her tax benefits. Man, they probably didn't explain exactly what that was.
No sales tax. You don't have to pay sales tax on the car.
Yeah, well, and plus if they're giving her cash that's significantly less than the car, well, then she's going to have to pay less in income tax against it too. Who knows what they were trying to convince her of. But she said no, she wanted the car. Well, she never got the car, but she was issued a tax record indicating $134,000 in income, which was the value of the car.
Wow.
So she got this, but no car. So she went to the Aston Martin dealership, and they told her that they didn't have any paperwork indicating that she was entitled to the car. It's like don't know what you're talking about.
They knew nothing about it.
Right. Yeah. That's what they said. So now she's suing the car dealership and several of the employees of Viejas Casino for fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, breach of unfair competition law, and breach of unilateral contract.
I hope she gets a ton.
This is a terrible story. And now, again, this happened in May of 2016. Now, we want to replay a call we received from a listener in October 2015, 7 months before this incident occurred.
Yeah, my name's Mike from Alpine, and I'll tell you about what happened at Viejas. They have this drawing for an Austin Healey. Last Saturday, my wife's friend, she came down. She's a Pechanga Indian, and she wanted to win the car. So she went and she played. She's playing like $50 a spin or something. So she ended up winning the car. They called the 10 people, and she was the one that got it. Well, anyway, the interesting part is that when she went in to get the car, they offered her $50,000 instead of the $108,000 Austin Healey. Well, she wanted the car. Well, now here's where it gets good. They tell her, oh, no, you can't afford the car. It's like $38,000, and you have to give us, this was a lie, it's Saturday, and they tell her you have to come up with $38,000 in the next 24 hours. It was a Saturday night at like 10 o'clock, so she's like, well, how do I go to the bank and get the money out? I mean, they just put full pressure on this woman to take the $50,000, and so they wouldn't have to write a check to the dealer for $108,000. Anyway, she was all confused, so she said, I want to let my family come in and talk. So anyways, my son and my wife were there, and they went in there. So my son, he heard all this. It was cost $8,000 a year to register the car, and they were coming up with all kinds of, just really pouring the pressure on for her to take the $50,000. So anyways, my son, he says, maybe we need to call a lawyer. So then after that, they got a little more understanding. So he started talking to the dealer outside. He's going, oh, she's taking the car. And the dealer says, oh, nobody's ever taken the car, ever. So he wanted to bet my son $1,000, and he says, yeah, fine, she's taking the car. But anyways, all right, bye.
So this is not an isolated incident.
No, they've done this a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty crummy.
Well, two things about that. Number one, a car that valuable, say $130,000.
Yeah.
Right? I'd be tempted to take the car too, and then sell it back to the dealership for $100,000, which is way more than the $50,000 they're offering me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The dealership would do that probably. Even if you drove it a few miles, they're going to buy it back for $100,000 if it's worth $130,000.
Well, as long as fraud isn't being committed, right? And
right. And it sounds like maybe the dealership didn't even know. Maybe they just advertised that
Oh, that's
giving
possible.
it away.
Yeah, that's possible. Who knows? But something's fishy there, and it's happened more than once. So
right. I wonder what they do if, like, I won it and I just pulled out my credit card. Oh, you need $38,000 here. Debit it out of this. There's $75,000 on it.
Yeah, they
take the 38 you need. Give me the car. I want the car right now.
They probably still hem and haw, and it's like, well, nobody ever does it. They just assume that nobody's going to take.
Nobody's going to do it.
Yeah.
Well, how many people can get $38,000? And
well, as you know, Mike, I am not a lawyer, but again, I hope she wins this case. Who knows, right? When it comes to these tribal casinos,
that's the thing.
It's really tough. But she is suing the dealership too, which is outside of the tribe, and so hopefully she has a case.
And she's suing individual people too.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like
at the casino. Yeah. So she might have a case with them now. The tribe that might be hard.
That could be.
But how crappy.
I know, it's awful.
And we don't have any link to Viejas or anything, or any particular love of them or anything. But I wouldn't go there just on that ground. Why won't I give them my money?
Yeah, it's a bad story coming out of there. Well, you know who is a lawyer? Tony from the Vice Lounge Online and 360 Vegas podcasts. He's actually a lawyer. Yeah. So the Supreme Court of the United States, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up. The Supreme Court of the United States is currently reviewing a case that could legalize sports gambling by freeing states from a federal anti-gambling law. The justices may come back with a ruling as early as February or as late as June. Obviously, New Jersey would be the first state to jump on this because they've been, waiting for this. And in fact, they're the state that's behind the case. Now, rather than you and I go on about this, we urge you to listen to the December 10th episode of Vice Lounge Online. It's episode 346. Tony and Jason have a much more intelligent conversation on the matter than we ever could. So listen to that, and hopefully, this will have there. It sounds like their justices are going to rule in favor of New Jersey, and maybe sports betting will pop. Now, it's not like every state is going to adopt it, and suddenly it's going to happen.
No, Utah
but at least
won't.
No, of course not, right? But at least they'll have the option. So
yeah, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, I know I've heard all the pros and cons and arguments from people, but in my opinion, you have the lottery, right?
Hey. Mike, people are betting on sports anyway.
Right, exactly. That's my thing. So why not?
This is a great way to tax.
Yeah, why not? Why not have the state make some money, especially states who are in dire needs of money. Yeah. So I mean, and people want to do it.
Yeah, yes, people want to do it.
It's not like you're like, oh, we're going to do that, but nobody will do it anyway. People want to do that.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Well, fingers crossed. We got an email from Brian from Northeast Ohio. He says, my longtime girlfriend and I are departing on our first ever Vegas trip on Christmas Day, and I would love to hear any advice that you two would give me before we depart. I have already placed a few items from your podcast on my list, such as craps at the Golden Gate downtown, craps at the Cromwell, and the stinky bathrooms in the back of Caesar's Palace. Oh, yeah, that's a must.
Yeah, you got to see
any
those.
first-time visitor. Yeah. I would love to have your suggestions and comments. So Christmas time is definitely a slow time in Vegas. The first part of December, it's the National Finals Rodeo, very crowded. Well, even when you were there for the Great Gift Wrap-Up, at least the Caesar part, very crowded. And then after the rodeo, it's just dead. I've been there a few times. And then New Year's.
It's dead for Vegas.
It's dead for Vegas. That's what I mean, for Vegas. Yeah. And then New Year's comes around and suddenly it's a madhouse.
The few days before New Year's and up to New Year's, it's crazy. Yeah. Well, and you can understand why, right? Everyone's waiting for New Year's, right? If you're going to go, December 26th, you might as well go the 29th and go to New Year's.
And I haven't been actually there on Christmas Day. Well, I know you and I went on Christmas Eve once.
We went on Christmas Eve once.
So we've been all around, the actual Christmas day.
Right.
And we've been there for New Year's. You've been a few times. I think I've only been once, actually. We stayed downtown, but it is a madhouse.
Times.
But, as far as stuff to do, it's just very slow. Try to take advantage of low minimums, which you probably will see. The conservatory at Bellagio is always, very popular because they have it all done up for Christmas. And,
well, and not to toot Steve Wynn too much, but the Wynn properties have beautiful Christmas decorations.
Yes, it's the red motif and what have you. So I don't want to toot Steve Wynn's horn at all either.
No,
but I understand what you're saying.
I have been to his casinos at Christmas time, and they do have beautiful decorations.
So when you and I go to Vegas, Dr. Mike, what do? We gamble, and so that's my suggestion too. Hopefully your girlfriend enjoys gambling too, but if
I'll
not,
tell you what,
she's
take quite a girlfriend.
Nice
she's flying out on Christmas Day to Vegas.
I know. Any other advice, Mike, for Brian?
Well, I mean, there's probably going to be some good deals, right?
I would think
I would
so,
look
yes,
into
yeah.
that, try and take advantage of some good deals. I assume they're getting a pretty good room rate or whatever. But
take advantage of the small crowds.
Right.
Go to some nice restaurants. You probably be able to get in. And,
Right, exactly. That's probably the best advice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could probably get into a nice restaurant.
Find some good meals. And,
right. Because sometimes that's hard to do. When you go on a normal weekend, it's hard to get into a nice steak place or something unless you're bright enough to make reservations ahead of time.
Yeah, like 6 months in advance.
Yeah, which isn't us because we're usually calling the morning of. Can we get in at 8? No.
Yeah. How about 3:30 in the afternoon or 11:30 at night?
Right,
That's
exactly.
More like it. Yeah. All right. Well, have a good trip, Brian. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link toward the top of the page. All right, voicemail hotline time. Remember, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First up is Jesse.
Hey guys, this is Jesse from New York City. I'm just calling after I've had the best gambling trip in Vegas in my life. So I went out there on December 5th. I went with my parents, my brother, and my wife. We stayed at Paris, and it was just a great trip. We started out, I went down to the craps table. It was an empty craps table. So I rolled. The point was 6, and I had $10 on 6 and the 8, the hard way. And then I hit the 8, and then I parlayed that. And I hit it again, so that was a great start to the trip. After a few drinks at Cosmo with my parents, we headed downtown. We went to the downtown Grand. It was a ghost town, completely empty, but it was nice because my parents who had never gambled before, we took them to the empty craps table to teach them. There was a guy named Jeffrey, extremely patient, really kind, and a great teacher, so he was fun to play with. Of course, my parents were first-time rollers, so my dad hit 4 points, and my mom hit 2 points, and she probably rolled about 5 6s throughout her roll. The next morning, we went from Paris and we went downtown again. We went to the D and got wiped out in about a half an hour. So then we went over to Golden Gate, and that's when things really turned around. I started off pretty slow, and then I had the best roll of my life, I would say. I got the all tall and all small with $3 on each of them, which was really awesome. And then after that, something amazing happened. I came out on a 9, and I hit that within one roll. And then I did that twice again. So I hit 6 9s in a row, which was really, really awesome. And then my brother also hit a $10 hard 8, which I parlayed, and then he hit it again. So really, really great. Then we went to Bazaar Meats for dinner that night, and then ended the night with my brother getting a hand pay on some sort of slot machine. So that was really, really great. Cool. That's my trip. Won a lot of money. It was really fun. And appreciate all you guys do. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it's a good story. Yeah. Now, before we started recording, Mike, you were whining about an email that we got where a guy said he did very well at craps by playing the way I play and avoiding the way you play.
Right.
So you must be happy to hear this story about Jesse parlaying the hard way.
I was thinking that he said it. He parlayed it. So I'm like, $900. Nice.
It's nice. Yeah. And I liked how he hit those 9s in a row. Now, for years, we have always said that 9 is the natural right back number.
Everybody knows that.
We heard that years ago, and I don't know if that's a real thing that, well, obviously it's not a real thing, but I mean, a comment or a superstition. But we heard it once, and it stuck with us.
Yeah.
So whenever our point is 9, it's like, well, see, it rolled it right back.
It's funny, though, because we say that whenever, somebody rolls 9. Well, it's a natural right back number. It comes right back.
Yep.
And people always look at us. What does that mean? The natural right back number. It's not the right back number. It's the natural right back number.
What?
Like God intended it that way.
And then when you roll it right back, you raise your hands. You look like a hero. Say, I told you. I told you. Now, on the last episode, Jesse had mentioned that he was taking his company to Argentina for a holiday party and that they were going to play craps on a riverboat casino. Well, he followed up and said they never went to the casino because he's heard that it's not particularly safe when you leave, especially if you're a winner.
Yeah.
So,
you know
probably
what?
Best.
And that's one thing. Let me just toot America's horn for just a second.
All right.
Seriously, in our country, there's dangerous places, and you can get mugged in Vegas or here in San Diego or anywhere. But I've never felt terribly unsafe in any casino environment in the United States. In a lot of countries, you can't say that.
That is true. Now, I would say that it's not limited to the United States. There are plenty of other countries where you're going to see it's not just America. There definitely are some countries where... I'm not saying
that, but there are some countries. Now, I've been down like in Cabo San Lucas at the casino there, and I did not feel safe.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, and I had won a little money, and I did not feel safe leaving. Yeah. I raced back to the hotel room. Yeah. And some of that maybe you're in a foreign place.
Sure. Yeah, right. You're especially if it's a different language.
With your surroundings and stuff and everything too. But some of it is, because there's people who look out for stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
And here, I don't know if we have as much of that to worry about. You certainly hear stories.
Yes, and it's generally not happening in the casino. It's when you leave.
Right.
And, maybe you get followed home or into the parking lot or whatever.
Somewhere else.
It definitely happens. We, every once in a while we hear a story.
Security in casinos here in this country is pretty tight.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. And I never really worried it, like even in the parking lot of a casino, because I know they're patrolling it and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably more when you get home.
Yeah, right. Make sure you're not followed. Yeah. All right, let's hear from Professor Slots.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is John Friedel. I just started a podcast on slot machine casino gambling. I'm an expert slot machine casino gambler, and I have noticed some things lately since about 2012 for winning at slot machines at new and recently renovated casinos. It's 3 minutes to tell you stuff. I wanted to introduce myself, ProfessorSlots.com. There's all my contact information. And Professor Slots is the name of the podcast. So basically in 2012, they came up with putting out more casino operating systems to reduce the slot mechanics workforce. And by doing that, they were able to turn around changing the odds on machines with a central computer several times a day instead of once every 7 to 10 days once the slot mechanic got to each individual slot machine. And they kind of tinker with adjusting the odds to meet their daily financial performance. And there's all kinds of patterns. So I've been documenting this, and I thought I should share this with people. And so now I've trying to push this out to people, and I'm working on building a business from it. But my time is just about up, and I wanted to introduce myself. And I know you don't do interviews, but feel free to send me an email, and we can chat about this. I know you, Mark, don't believe in the odds being anything other than random for slot machines, but I'm seeing changes, and I thought you might be interested. All right, have a great day.
Yeah, I'm definitely skeptical of advantage play on slot. I mean, it can happen. Absolutely. Right, I know that it can happen, but I'm always going to be skeptical of it. And I don't know that John necessarily has advantage play that players could take advantage of. But I did write to him. He wrote me back a very nice email kind of detailing his philosophy and, what he's all about. And I will say this. I started listening to the show probably about 4 or 5 episodes ago, and it is very informative. He goes into the history of slot machines and how they work and things like that, rather than necessarily, okay, here's what you're going to have to do to win. So I found that very informative. He also has a section in his show where he talks about the rules and regulations of specific states. Like for one episode, he'll pick a state and just talk about, okay, what are the gambling laws in this state? Okay. What are the slot machine laws? Can you own a slot machine in your home? That kind of thing.
Wow. I haven't listened to it, but I think I will. I'd like to know this information. Yeah. I mean, a lot of that stuff I've wondered about for years and just never, I don't play enough slots to really look into it. But if I could listen to that driving to work, I think that's probably great information for people, right?
Yeah.
Even if there's no advantage play to it, just simply understanding how it works, the mechanics of it. And because I guarantee you 99.9% of people have no clue how that slot machine works.
Right.
My dad being number one on the list. If I had to list all the people, because you know how we're in the car always trying to explain to him, and he's like, oh, that one pays off because he has some Looney Tune reasoning, and you can't say anything because he's old. You just have to nod your head and say, yeah, dad. But seriously, it'd be good to know if you're a little more informed about how they work.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And John talks about this. He talks about pay tables and the construction of them and, symbols and how they've kind of come into the whole culture of slot machines.
It's interesting that they can change now with computers.
That's a big part of it. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, so you could be in there when they're having a good day and they loosen them up a little bit.
Well, that's the thing is he's saying
that the day when they tighten them up.
It's what he's saying is that they can do that remotely now in a lot of the new places. So
I wonder how the law regulates that. I
imagine would depend on the jurisdiction and I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I mean, there's got to be laws about that. Yeah. They can't just say, okay, today nobody's winning.
Yeah, good question for Professor Slots.
Yep.
So, all right, let's hear from George.
Hi, this is George from the Cincinnati, Ohio area. Wanted to first congratulate you guys on a great podcast. I spend a lot of time on the road. I'm in sales, so your podcast actually passes the time, and I really enjoy it. This is kind of not necessarily a trip report, but an area report. In the Cincinnati area, right over the border in Indiana, there is a Hollywood casino. The tables there, they are either $5 minimums with 10 times odds, or sometimes when it's busy, $10 minimums. And the tables have the sharpshooter, which of the kind of bonus bets between the fire bet and the all tall small and the sharpshooter, I prefer the sharpshooter. So, when the table minimums are lower, it kind of makes me feel like a high roller, that I can take advantage of the 10-time odds, and then if I'm feeling really good, bet all the place bets across. And then when you go to downtown Cincinnati at the Jack Casino, usually the minimum is $15 and it's 5 times odds. And they have the fire bet, at least the last time I played there. But the one big difference for me is in the Hollywood Casino in Indiana, they allow smoking in the casino. And being a non-smoker, I really don't like playing in that environment. In fact, when I go to Vegas, I really notice the difference in just the way I feel and, having your clothes smell like smoke. But, it is Vegas and you're there to have fun, so I don't complain too much about it. But when I'm here in Cincinnati, I usually try and go to the Jack Casino just for the fact that there is no smoking at the table. So I used to be a former dealer, and so when I was talking about the Hollywood Casino in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, which is about 15 to 20 minutes from downtown Cincinnati, and a few episodes ago, you were talking about dealers and tipping and also whether casinos offer less than dollar chips. So when I was dealing, this is probably 20 plus years ago, there was 50-cent chips. And I was recently at that same casino and they still have them. What I enjoyed most as far as tipping was when the players would actually tip the dealers on top of their bets. And that way they kind of felt like we were on the same team as opposed to, the bet being on the side. It's always appreciative when they're tipping, but when the bet's on the side, we have to take it down as dealers. Whereas when it's on top of the bet of the players actually control it. So you can double up if the player is going to, offer that. It's really kind of the player's choice, but a lot of times they would offer the dealer's input. And I always encourage players to tip the dealers, especially on craps, because they're splitting their tips 4 ways. You have each dealer working each side, and then the stick man, and then one dealer is off on break. As opposed to the blackjack dealers and the poker dealers where they take their toke box with them, they accrue their own tips, whereas they have to split it 4 ways on the craps table. Anyway, thank you, Mark, and whoever that doctor guy is.
Thank you.
I'm just kidding. On that same podcast, you were going, you didn't get enough love, Mark, for whoever it was calling in, forgot your name. So anyway, thanks, Mark and Dr. Mike. Take care.
All right. Thanks, George.
Yeah. Cincinnati, Ohio, reaching out to you, Mark.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really glad George brought up this point about player control on the tips. Now, typically, let's say you're playing blackjack. You've got like a $10 bet, and you bet for the dealer. Now, usually what you'll do is you'll put $1 in front of your bet.
Right.
It's a tip for him, and then you'll play out the hand. If you win the hand, he also wins. But the dealer doesn't just take the winnings. He also takes the $1 that you initially bet for him.
They're required to take it unless you piggyback.
Right. If instead you say dealer control, or like he said, you put the chip actually kind of offset on the top of your bet,
right?
Then if he wins, he'll only take the winnings and then it'll stay out there.
Yeah. Or you can parlay the whole thing too. You have control.
And you do that all the time, Dr. Mike. When you're at the craps table, you usually do a two-way. You do a two-way world,
right?
And they're used to you now, but you say dealer control,
right?
So when it hits, you parlay yourself, and you also parlay them,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they have a chance to win big,
yeah.
And I think it's been my experience anyway. Most dealers like that.
Yeah, it's fun for them. Sure.
It's fun for them, and they're going for the big hit too. They feel like they're in the game.
Yeah, so try that. A player, did I say dealer control? But I mean player control if I did say it wrong. But anyway, yeah, try that sometime where you're making a tip, but it's player control, meaning that when they win, you decide what's going to happen with the bet instead of them just taking the winnings and the initial bet.
Yeah, and you call it piggybacking too. You can just say piggyback.
That's right. Yeah, that's good. And just to remind everybody, the sharpshooter bet that George was talking about too, it is like the fire bet, except the points do not have to be unique. So the nice thing about that is it hits a lot more often.
It hits more
right?
often,
Yes. So.
And it's a one-time bet like the fire bet.
Yes, right. It's a per shooter.
Like, per shooter, right. Yes. It's not like the
all tall small or the repeaters that can come down in the middle of a roll.
Come down in the middle of a roll and you got to put them back and stuff. That just stays up there the whole roll. So less investment by the player with a decent payout.
Yes, not as high as the fire bet, but it pays off more often.
Right, and that's why he probably likes it.
Yes.
Because you can make one bet. That repeater, it kills you. It grinds you.
It can.
It can grind you. When it hits, it's great, but when it doesn't hit, it's a grinder.
That's right. All right, next call.
Hi, guys. Listener Jimmy from Chicago calling again. I'm actually expanding my horizon this time, and I'm going to go to Tunica next weekend, and I'm hoping you guys can tell me any must-dos, must-sees, places you prefer to play/stay. Any tips would be great. I appreciate it. Love the show. Thanks. Bye.
Unfortunately, Jimmy, we have never been to Tunica. It's definitely on our list. 2018 is going to be Connecticut. Maybe 2019 will be Tunica or Biloxi or something like that. But
depends on how your 7-star status
goes. See if I can do it next year. But plenty of our listeners have been to Tunica and have called in. So go back and listen to episodes 108, 131, and 138, and you'll hear some calls from visitors about Tunica, and you get some good tips there.
If I remember correctly, some of them have information about, staying places and eating places and stuff like that.
Right, and going to Graceland, as part of the trip. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Yep. All right, moving on.
Hey, I wanted to call in and just comment on the fact that I recently had my first child, baby girl, and I'm having to cut down on some of my podcast time, so you guys are pretty much the only Vegas podcast I listen to anymore. And also, I'm realizing that I'm probably going to have to cut down on my trips to Vegas as well, for the same reason.
No.
So I'm kind of looking ahead, and I'm thinking my next trip to Vegas, I might consider Circus just to have kind of the kids' play area and everything when she's older. But I'm wondering if you guys have ever gone there or had any experiences or feedback that you've received from people going there. Just because it is something I consider. And I know even if it's something I'm not enjoying, you can always walk down to SLS or Stratosphere or something. But I haven't heard any comments on Circus from other podcasts or anything, so I thought I'd get you guys' feedback. All right, thank you.
Yeah, Circus is a dump.
Yeah. I have 2 daughters.
Yes.
Too. Mm-hmm. And they've been to Vegas. Mm-hmm. And we just stayed at Caesar's Palace.
Well, yeah, but how much is there for them really to do?
Not a lot, but they're a little older.
Well, okay, they're a little older now.
So they like to go to the mall.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a big thing, and the pool is a big thing.
Sure, I think for a younger child, Excalibur would actually be a better choice for the parents because it's definitely. I don't know if cleaner is the right word, but I'm just going to say it.
I actually think cleaner is the right word.
It's a cleaner property. There's certainly plenty of stuff for kids to do, and it's a much better location. You can go to Luxor, you can go to New York. Everything's right there. Right. Tropicana, MGM Grand.
And there's some stuff to do besides shopping
and you're real close there to like the M&M store, right? And all that stuff. There's
all that stuff there.
Way more stuff to do.
If you're there in the summer, the pool. I mean, for my daughters, the pool was a huge thing. They could spend all day at the pool.
Yeah.
Now that's not too conducive to gambling. No, but that's why my wife would take them to the pool.
Yeah. I definitely suggest that. Now, Circus does have the amusement park, so if you just wanted to do that for like a day and then go back to Excalibur, but that'd be our recommendation, I think.
Yeah, Circus. We haven't been there in years.
No, but
I'll be honest. It may have changed, but it was pretty seedy, if you will,
and gross.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd trust my little child there.
Well, and the location's no good now.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from Walter with a casino report.
Hey, gentlemen, Walter here from Beaverton, Oregon. I just wanted to give a very quick trip report on a relatively new casino to our area. This one happens to be up in La Center, Washington. It's called Ilani. It is spelled I-L-A-N-I, I am not sure how they get A and A out of that, but it must be from the Brett Favre Dictionary of Pronunciation. So anyway, it is related to somehow to Mohegan Sun, and the inside of this casino is really pretty and nice, clean, good air circulation, all things important to me as a patron. The craps game there is 3, 4, 5 times odds. It varies between $5 and $10 minimum bet, depending on the weekday or weekend. A really good crew, but they are still teaching some very green dealers. And so I would implore anybody, whether they're here or there, to be patient with those new dealers and tip for their effort. I tip them nicely for their efforts, and they've made mistakes. The boxman was having to correct them on several different bets. They were trying to figure out how to pay. But just watch your bets and be patient. They're learning, so don't let the slowness of the game sour your attitude toward the game. Just keep in mind they're still learning how to do this, and it's hard to keep track. I always bet on myself for the pass line, and I always wait a few rolls when others are throwing, just to kind of see how they're throwing and whether or not they're, especially when they rocket the dice down the table. And then I'll wait a few rolls on them, and I'll play the come bet with odds. I tried increasing my bets as I won, as they won, and I'd also increase the number of my bets. I would only start with 1 at probably double odds, and then I'd work it up to full odds, and then eventually I would get 2 and 3, sometimes at 1.4 bets across the board, and it turned out to be a really good day where I came home $400 richer. So, and that was just betting the minimum, the $10 pass with double and or full odds. So anyway, I would encourage anybody in the Great Northwest to go visit A&A. It's a very nice facility. They have 4 craps tables there, and usually they're all open. So again, it's in Center, Washington. So gentlemen, thanks for a great podcast, and I'll see you around. Bye.
Good. Thanks, Walter. Yeah, that's a good system. I've said this before, that when you're waiting and kind of watching how shooters are playing, there's nothing really scientific about are they going to have a good roll, but it reduces your exposure to a negative EV game, right? And so your dollars are going to go further.
You feel great when you waited and the guy immediately 7s out.
Right. It's like, okay, I didn't get money out there. Right. So good. And it sounds like you had a good trip. So good. Yeah.
I wish that casino was spelled, the last letter was an A. So A actually ended with an A.
So I kind of wish it started with an A. If it's
it'd be good. If
I thought you might like it though, because you always like these weird names.
I definitely like the name. I like the name. I would just be walking in thinking, I don't know,
Alani. Welcome to Alani.
I don't know how to say this.
All right.
I like goofy names, not misspelled names.
Oh, okay. That's right. That's why you didn't like Parks.
Yeah.
Because it was PARX. Right. And so you hear it, okay, all right. I got you.
I just like goofy names.
You like Muckleshoot.
Muckleshoot.
Like.
That's the best ever.
That is the best one, yeah.
Yeah, it's the best ever.
That's no question.
I mean, would you love to tell people, where do you work? Muckleshoot.
What? Are you making up stuff? Are you making up words?
Right, yeah. No, Muckleshoot. That's where I work.
All right, final call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Nate from Seattle. This weekend, I was in San Jose to watch 49ers game. I had a couple hours to kill before the game, so I thought I'd play some blackjack at a local casino. This game of blackjack was a little different in that it had 2 things I'd never seen before. Number 1 was you had to pay $1 vig to get a hand. Whether you won or lost, or whatever cards you were dealt, you always lost that $1 vig. The second option was that you had the option to play as dealer. Basically, you put out a float. If a player won, you would pay them out of that float, and if a player lost, you collect their money and add it to your float. The maximum you could win or lose is the total amount in your float. Anyways, I've never seen these before. Wonder if you guys have any thoughts about them. Keep up the good work. Bye.
Yes. So,
welcome to California.
Yes, the card rooms in California. So not the full-blown tribal casinos, but the card rooms, essentially the poker rooms. They are not allowed to bank games like Pai Gow poker or blackjack.
Right.
So the way that they are able to deal the game is they have players act as the bank. And then they just collect a vig, an ante, from players and banker.
So that's how they make their money.
Right.
It's really regulated, very regulated, that they can only collect $1 per whatever amount.
Right. And we know of little organizations that have become bankers in California, where they actually hire people to sit and be a bank with a bank.
You go in there and you pretend like it's your money. It's really coming from some syndicate.
Well, I don't even think you need to pretend as long as you've got the money.
Because everyone knows.
And here's the thing. I'm glad you kind of brought that up because the casino is making money on that ante.
Right.
And as such, they don't really care what happens in the game. And this used to be what we played. We played Pai Gow poker like this.
For many, many years, we played
years.
Pai Gow poker exactly like this.
And I'm sure that along the way, we were cheated.
Oh, most definitely.
Have to have been, right? So the casino, player or banker, it's kind of a risky proposition. But that's what it comes down to. If you're not at a tribal casino and you want to play Pai Gow poker or blackjack, you've just got to pay this ante.
There's funny business going on in the card room or casino, if you want to call it that. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't
care.
They're
getting their buck. They just get their buck, and that's it. I mean, they have no other interest in the game. If someone wants to call somebody out for cheating or something, that's their business.
So be careful, and if you are close enough to go to a real casino, then do that instead. We try to avoid that as much as we could.
Plus, that VIG does eat you up.
Oh, of course, yes.
And if you don't have enough money to bank, you're severely disadvantaged.
Yes, that's true.
On the table. And that's why these syndicates have come up, because they come in, they're not coming in with a couple $100. They're coming in a guy with a suitcase with $10,000 in it. And he's going to bank that. They're going to bank the whole time. And a lot of people, we found this out when back in the day playing Pai Gow, a lot of people were more than happy to let them bank, because when people banked on their own and say they had a couple $100, you could have a winning hand, but they'd run out of money because, like he said, you can only win or lose what you have to bank.
Right.
So if you have $200 and the first guy bets $200 and he beats you, your money's gone, and everyone else just doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
And you could have had a winning hand and not get paid.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were more than happy to let some guy with 10,000 bank because they always had action.
Right. Yes,
it was more important to have action than it was, to just sit there.
Yeah.
So these syndicates would come in and people like, oh, just let him bank the whole time, and nobody would ever challenge him. Nobody would ever say, no, it's my turn to bank.
Everybody's happy. The casino's happy, and the players are happy. I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
So, hey, you know what next week is?
Yes.
What?
Well, it's Christmas.
I forgot about that. You're right. It
Monday
is Christmas. No, I completely forgot.
But Tuesday's Boxing Day.
It is the You Can Bet on That Boxing Day Casino Crawl, my friend.
Oh, my God.
The first annual, well, maybe the first only one.
Yeah, I think the first only one.
We have been remiss as podcasters in that we have not gone to a lot of the Southern California casinos.
Yeah.
So we're going to take the day.
I chastise myself all the time about this. That's why I put those pictures on your Twitter account.
I knew it looked familiar. I knew it. I said,
it was me.
It was you.
It was me in a dress.
That's right. I thought, wow, she's buxom. No, it was you.
It was me.
Yeah. We're going to go, at least we're going to try to get 4 of the big ones. We want to go up to San Manuel, Morongo, Agua Caliente, and Fantasy Springs. And we may.
We're not getting a room at Fantasy Springs.
No, we're not. We may sprinkle a few more in here, but we're going to spend the day doing that. We're going to check them out, join their players club, play some craps if they have it, look around. And maybe we'll report back if as long as I can just see us just doing a beeline for the craps table.
Right.
How was Morongo? I don't really know.
Yeah.
I didn't really get a sense of the place, but I won $50. So.
Well, I got to work a little bit in the morning, so we're going to get kind of a late start.
Yeah, right.
So we'll see how that goes.
Hopefully, you'll get some cancellations maybe. Because people will be day after Christmas. I don't want to go to the dentist.
I kind of think that won't happen.
All right, I hope so. Hey, did you listen to the Bun Boy holiday special?
Yes, I did.
You did? I'm glad. Yeah, because it just came out today. We're recording this on Wednesday. So did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. I liked it. Yeah, Adam's.
It's very flattering. Yeah,
very flattering. Very funny.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole thing was pretty good.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
The guy who did impersonated.
Oh, my God. That whole Bun Boy Records commercial, that was fantastic.
That was good.
That was great. So I encourage everybody who hasn't listened to that to go to listen to Vegas Bun Boy, episode 4, holiday special.
Mark's featured in it.
I do have a little bit there.
Yeah, unfortunately, you used your regular speaking voice too.
Yes, finally.
Which I like.
Yes.
You didn't use your podcast voice.
That's right.
Or the voice you use when you meet people. You used your real
I meant my
voice.
real voice. Yeah, this is just my podcast voice. Of course, I don't talk like this around the house. It's
what's
crazy.
funny? I've got a patient. It's the weirdest thing. She has the highest, squeakiest voice.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not going to say her name.
No, of course not.
But she does the traffic on a lot of the radio stations here in San Diego.
Okay.
She's the traffic reporter.
Okay.
And her voice on the radio is beautiful. But her real voice is so squeaky.
Really?
Very squeaky.
All right.
Well, I mean, and I asked her, I even said, "Oh my God," she said, "Yeah, that's just my voice for radio. And this is my real voice."
Yeah.
And she's able to change it like that. But it's like significant.
Okay.
It's almost freaks me out every time because I hear her all the time on the radio and I'm thinking, that cannot be her. But
all right. That's great. Afterwards, you'll tell me who she is.
Yeah, I'll tell you who
she is. Listen to it.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hey, we want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, Brian and Sarah for their recurring donation. Thanks once again. Also from Adrian says, thanks for a great podcast. We really appreciate it. Also, Brian, who's going with his girlfriend on Christmas to Las Vegas. He says, Karma donation for my upcoming first ever Vegas trip. Buy a well drink or put it on a couple of hard ways. We'll put it on hard ways. That's how we usually. And then you buy me a well drink.
Yeah, I'll just buy you the well drink.
All right, good. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program that searches through all the raw American TV data. Just go to youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS, or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. This is it for 2017, Mike.
Yep, this is it.
What do you have to say?
Well, all I can say is that my wife asked me if any of me or my family will be going to the casino on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
Oh, okay,
She had checked into that already.
All right.
I alerted her that no, I would not be going.
Okay.
I cannot speak for my dad and brother and
very
mom
good.
and everybody.
Mm-hmm,
But, we do have some free play on Sundays. So.
I know. I saw that too. We've got some at Hollywood too.
Yeah, I know. Well, I actually thought about that at Hollywood because that's
close.
Yeah, we can go early in the morning, get there right, at noon or whenever it starts and get our free play and get home. That won't affect Christmas Eve.
No, not at all.
So I hopefully no gambling during Christmas.
Okay. All right. Just
the day after
Boxing Day is
crazy.
something else.
Yeah, Boxing Day that's a Canadian holiday.
All right,
they'll love it if we gamble on it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. Actually, Hanukkah ended today. Today, as we're recording this.
Hanukkah was early this year.
And happy holidays and happy Kwanzaa, happy New Year. We'll see everybody in 2018.
Yeah, I hope everyone has a great Christmas and a healthy New Year.
Yes.
And I hope they win at the casinos.
That's the most important thing, as always.
Yeah, we'll end with that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.